Okay, welcome to the webinar today. This is a special topic webinar, and our topic today is English pronunciation and fluency for Spanish speakers. And this is for our Pronunciation Pro members. And we do these special topic webinars the third Thursday of every month on specific topics that are applicable to our students here at Pronunciation Pro. And for this webinar, what we're going to do is we are going to go through the most common errors that happen for our Spanish speakers while they're speaking English. Now, depending on your native language, there are some predictable patterns or error patterns that happen in your English when you start speaking English. And that is the nature of an accent. That's what an accent is a carryover of the sounds and rhythm from your first language to your second language. And in this situation, we're talking about Spanish speakers speaking English. And so it's no surprise that there are some predictable patterns based on your first language that you would be using. You'd be carrying over those different sounds and different rhythm from that first language to English, because every language has its own unique sounds and its own unique rhythm. And we want to make sure that as we're speaking English, that the way to be the most clear and to sound as native as possible is to speak with the correct sounds and rhythm of English. All right, so we're really excited to have everyone here today on the call, and I will be asking for volunteers as we go along. So that raise hand icon on your control panel will tell me that you want to volunteer, and I'll ask for volunteers as we go along. So Brian, welcome. Claudia, Harry, Luis, Luz, Magli, Mildred, Mirtha, awesome, Natalia, Olga, Rocio, and Sonia. And Sylvia, awesome. So glad to have you all here. I really appreciate you trusting me in helping you on this journey that you're on, and I do not take that for granted. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. So this is for Spanish speakers. And just a little intro for you, and the picture's a little fuzzy because I had to pull it from somewhere else, but this is a picture of our friends Jose and Olga, and my husband and I, a couple years after we were married, we decided that we really wanted to go down to Costa Rica and spend 6 weeks both playing and learning the language. So we signed up for a Spanish Immersion program with some schools down there. And part of this program is we got to live with some Costa Rican families there. And Jose and Olga were our very first, the very first people who hosted us. And it was such an amazing experience, and I just love these people so much. And it was the most amazing thing because my husband and I didn't speak any Spanish going down. We really had absolutely no idea. And so we went down, and Jose and Olga, we somehow were able to communicate with our limited Spanish and their limited English. I really don't think that they had any knowledge of English. But that there was that language of love, and we knew that they sincerely cared about us and they wanted us to have a good experience, and it was just the most wonderful situation, and I'm so grateful to them. And it just gave me just a taste of that experience of learning a new language, trying to learn a new language, and the struggle there, and having to get around without knowing much of the language, but being able to connect with people who sincerely cared about us and our journey in learning Spanish. And so we spent 6 weeks. We made some good progress. Unfortunately, we came back and we got busy in life, and I haven't done it much with it since. But my husband and I talk a lot about now that we have 4 kids. we want them to learn the Spanish language. It's something that we have a lot of Spanish speakers around where we live here in Arizona, and we feel like it would be, we really want that for our children. So we're making plans to figure out how we can do a similar situation and go somewhere so that we can be immersed and study the language. But I appreciate the culture that we were exposed to, and it's a fun culture. Like Jose and Olga, they love to dance, and we did a lot of dancing while we were there. All right, so let's talk about our goal here for our English development. Really, what's the goal here? The goal is for us to practice our English so you are easy to understand, and that you are confident in the English language. Those are kind of the first steps, the first wins we want to see in your spoken English. We want to make sure that you're easy to understand and that you feel confident in your spoken English, because you know that people will understand you. You'll get your message across. Your spoken English can be very powerful. Beyond that, there's becoming, completely native and native sounding, and kind of working towards that goal if that's your goal. Some people, it's not their goal. They want to be easy to understand and confident. And then there's some who are saying, well, I want to sound 100% native. But the first step is to be easy to understand and confident in the way you speak. And that really starts with two main areas in your English. There's the rhythm and there's the sounds of English. Okay, so we really break down those two, and let me come back here. We really break down those two areas of your your development. In learning to really accomplish this goal, we have to know the sounds of English and use those correctly. You have to use the rhythm of English correctly. All right. When you have those two working for you, that's what creates that confidence. That's what creates that ease of communication. That's what creates that that native sound. So let's go through these two areas in more detail. Okay, so rhythm. Let's talk about rhythm. I have some really good news for you, all of you Spanish speakers, about rhythm. It's not very different from English rhythm. And the reason I say this is because there are some languages that are very different from English in the rhythm. And so we have to spend a lot of time on the rhythm with those students. Because it really does require a different rhythm. The good news for Spanish speakers is that the rhythm in Spanish is very similar to English in the way that we link and connect words together, in the stressed and unstressed pattern of words and sentences, in the way that we emphasize or stress keywords. The intonation pattern is very similar. So you're not having to completely reinvent the rhythm when you are speaking in English. So that's the good news. Now, there are a few areas that I want to kind of share a word of caution, and that is with your pace. So at Pronunciation Pro, we talk about the 3 easy tips: slow down, move your mouth, and speak up. Slow down is the thing that I tell our Spanish speakers quite a bit, is we just need to slow down. It's a slower, English tends to be a slower language than Spanish is. And I know there's, variety of where you are in the US and who's speaking English and where you are in Spanish-speaking countries and the pace that's used there. But in general, pace is important. Slow it down, not just because it's going to be easier for you to use the sounds of English when you're speaking slower, but also because just the general rhythm is slower. So definitely keep that pace a little bit slower and practice that. All right, the second one is move your mouth. This is something that is very important for our Spanish speakers because there is, when we contrast Spanish and English, there is just more movement of the mouth. There's more precision in the specific sounds, and that's actually something that's very beautiful about Spanish is the flow, and there's a very soft flow to it, and which doesn't require as much movement in the mouth, as drastic of movement in the mouth. They just kind of nicely flow together. In English, we do have to move our mouth more, and I find this with my Spanish-speaking students is that I'm typically asking them to move their mouth more, get more precision in their speech, so it doesn't sound a little bit more slurred together. Okay, so slow down, move your mouth. Those are really important to remember when it comes to rhythm. The other is, you know, sometimes there's specific words that have a different stress pattern. When we talk about word stress, we talk about which syllable is being stressed or emphasized in a word, and these are set for each word. It doesn't change for each word, and so there might be a few words here and there that have a different stress than you're used to, but it's not anything major or causes too big of a problem, and it's just a matter of as you continue on with your practice with your English pronunciation, then you start picking up on those individual words, and it does become easier. Okay, this is actually all I'm going to say about rhythm today, because the main area for my students, Spanish-speaking students, are the sounds of English. The sounds of English tend to be where my Spanish-speaking students really need to focus to make sure that they're getting the correct sounds of English so they're easy to understand and can feel confident knowing that they're speaking it correctly. Okay, so rhythm, slow down, move your mouth, you know, listen to those specific word stress rules, words that might be stressed a little bit different. But let's spend the rest of the time on sounds, okay? Now I'm going to go through I think we have 11 different areas. I'm going to go through them real quick, and then we're going to dive into each one and get some practice and get some practice and some exposure to what those error patterns are. Okay, so the first one is vowels. The vowels I and E. So short I, long E. I, E. So the difference between hit, heat, sit, seat. We'll be going into this in detail. I just wanted to give you an overview here. Some other vowels. So vowels are big, big, big for our Spanish speakers. And with the I and the E, you know, you can look back in Spanish and say, well, if a word's spelled with an I, then it says E in Spanish. And so you can see how that sound and that pronunciation of that sound would carry over to English, where the rules are different. When you see an I that isn't surrounded by other vowels, it's going to say I, not E. Okay, so we have to remember the specific rules of English for this specific vowel. All right, for short vowels, a, e, for our Spanish speakers, they sound very similar. It's hard to differentiate between these. So we'll go through these and do some listening, especially some listening exercises between them. So hot, hut, hat, het. Het isn't a word, but it goes along with the contrast. All right, deleting ending sounds. Deleting ending sounds. This is especially true for the T's and D ending for our Spanish speakers. So ba instead of bad. And this happens very often in connected speech where it just gets dropped and we move on. I know there are a few of you here that attend our study groups, and we've worked on this a little bit, but deleting those ending sounds or taking out those ending sounds and not getting them in there is tends to be a little bit of a problem. Confusing B and V, again, this goes back to Spanish, but the Spanish language carrying over to English, but instead of very, berry, we're hearing berry. And as I go through these, I want you to, as you're thinking about this, you might think, oh, I don't do that, I don't do that, or I don't do that, especially if you haven't been in the program for too long and you haven't done a lot of the listening exercises. But keep your mind open to these, because it might be that you are confusing certain sounds here, and you might be saying them incorrectly and don't even realize it. So as we go through and we do go into each one of these, I want to make sure that we have an open mindset so that you can discover for yourself if some of these are a problem for you, because you really can't fix it or correct it or change anything without that discovery, without really understanding what it is that you might be saying and doing incorrect. All right, so the other one is the y sound. A lot of times I'm hearing jes, or jes is really the main error there. So we have the y sound, we have the th sound. So typically for our Spanish speakers, the voice th tends to be a d, and the voiceless tends to be a t sound. We'll go into that in more detail. All right, the R sound tends to be rolled, started, has a little bit more of a roll to it, again, from the Spanish language. Using S instead of Z, so ice for eyes, and getting that. And if you're with the Pronunciation Pro course, we start off really talking about that voice versus voiceless sound, so we'll talk more about that. Using the SH sound instead of ch. So cheese for cheese. And if that's really hard for you to kind of hear the difference there, that might be a clue for you, because we can't pronounce it until we really hear it correctly. S blends. A lot of times I'll hear from my Spanish-speaking students, esters, the esters. I went down the esters. Making sure that we're not putting that E in the front. And then ED endings. A lot of times I'll hear worked instead of worked as far as pronunciation. All right, so let's really dive into these and get comfortable with them. So the first one is the vowels I and E. And I talk about that because there's kind of a, when we talk about the shape of the mouth, there's a lot to the shape of the mouth when we're talking about vowels. So I, E, I, E. So E has a flatter shape to the mouth, and it's wider. E, E, I, and the sound that's trickiest is that I sound. So instead of saying sit, I'm hearing seat. Okay, who would like to volunteer as we go through some of these specific words for the I and the E sound? Harry, that was the fastest hand raise I've ever seen. Okay, Harry, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Excellent, okay. Yes, that was super fast. I'm impressed.
I have problems with this one, so I really wanted to practice.
Okay, good. I'm glad then. All right, so what we're going to go through is the first time I'm gonna do a little listening quiz, because that does help us understand, are you hearing it? Is it at the hearing stage or the pronunciation stage? Okay, so you've done this before with me, where I cover my mouth, and I'm going to say one of the words and you tell me which word I'm saying. Okay, so we'll go for that first set. Seat, seat.
You said the second one.
Good. I'm going to contrast this. Sit, seat, sit, seat. All right, I'm going to do the next one. Hit, hit, hit.
You said the first one.
Good. So I said hit. So contrast, hit, heat, hit, heat. All right, next one. It, it, it.
Um, you said that the first one.
Good. So it, eat. It, eat. All right, and our last one, deed. Deed.
The second one.
Good. So I said deed. So contrast, did, deed. Did, deed. All right, your turn. You're going to say one of them. You're going to say one of these, and I am going to tell you which one you said.
Okay, I won't cover my mouth.
Okay.
Feel, feel.
Okay, you did the second word. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now contrast, just like I did.
Feel, feel. Feel, feel.
Okay, good. All right, next.
S.
All right, so you're saying the first word, but I actually heard S, where with a short E instead of short I. So do this for me. Is. There you go. Good. Now contrast those.
Is, ease.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, next one.
Sleep.
So I heard the second one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
now contrast.
Sleep.
Good. All right, next one.
Yes. Hit.
Okay, and it's still somewhere between the and the I. So do it again. I heard the first one.
Hit.
Sorry.
Yes. Hit.
Okay, good. Now do hit. Yeah, contrast.
Hit. Heat.
Good. All right, so with this last one, I'm just going to have you read through. Let's actually sorry, I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable situation, but I had to add these. I just remembered what I wrote down here. So I won't make you do this, but so the I sound is where we tend to have, our Spanish speakers tend to have the harder time getting that I sound. E is a little bit easier, I is not. Let me just point out, so we have still, pill, and then I have to point this out because it is one of those things that if we don't say the sound correctly, it is going to sound like a curse word. So bitch and shit, that's really uncomfortable for me to say, but if we don't get that short I, then it's going to sound like beach or sheet or vice versa, okay? So that's one of those we want to make sure. All right, so say those short I's for me. Just the short I's, because those tend to be the harder one.
All of them?
Yeah, well, yeah, if you don't want to do the last two, that's fine.
No, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Sit, hit, it, did, feel, is, slip, hit, steal, peel, bitch, shit.
Yep, there you go. All right, perfect. Okay, so that's that I sound, and now you're hearing it correctly. You're getting it into the words correctly. Now you want to build on that and say, okay, now as I go into sentences and reading and things, I need to pay attention to that short I and make sure that I'm getting that I sound. And the more that you read and bring your awareness to that, the more it's going to bridge over to your conversation. And bringing that awareness to your conversation as you're speaking is one of those things that it's easier for some than others. And so if you're able to kind of bring that awareness and start listening more to yourself as you're speaking, then great. If it just takes more of your personal practice before you're able to make that transition, that's just fine too. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Harry. I appreciate it.
Thanks to you.
I hope that was helpful. Okay. Short vowels. We're going to move into short vowels. Now, I'm going to spend quite a bit of time on this part because this tends to be a very difficult situation. And actually, if you notice with our with the last slide, when you don't get the short I or the short I correct, it changes the whole word. It becomes a completely different word. And that is the challenge with these vowels, is it's not only that you say it incorrect and your listener has to kind of make that correction in their head, it's that you're saying a completely different word if the vowel is incorrect a lot of times. We really have to make sure that those vowels are correct so that we're saying the word that we're intending. All right. Who wants to help me with these short vowels here? And I have 2 pages of them, so we'll have Natalia and Brian. So Natalia, I'll have you work with me first, and then Brian, I'll have you with the second page. Natalia, hello.
Hi, Annie. How are you?
So good. Good. All right, let's get into this. Now, I'm going to contrast a few of these short vowels, and we have 3 different columns here. So the first column, I'm actually going to do the listening exercise, and then we'll do some other things for the others. Okay, just like we did before with Harry, I'm going to say a word and you say which one you're hearing, okay?
Sure.
All right. Hot.
The first one.
Okay, so hot, hut. How about this next one? Got.
The first one.
Good. Got, gut. And I'll have you do these too. So hubby.
The second one.
Good. Hobby. And as you're listening to these, everyone else, if you're listening to these, really kind of listen to that contrast, especially to make sure that you're hearing a difference there. Lock.
First one.
Good. Lock, luck. About this, nut.
Second one.
Not, nut. Fund.
The second one.
Good. Fund. All right, so you're doing it, you're hearing it correctly. I want you to go through and just read each of these words and let me make sure that you're saying them different than each other.
Okay. Hot. Got. No, that wasn't right.
Okay, you heard it. Okay, good. I'm glad you caught yourself. Okay, so do that again.
Okay. Got.
There you go. Much better. Do it again. Gut.
Got.
And do hut again.
Hot.
Okay, I'm hearing this. I'm hearing hot. Okay, so do ut.
Hot.
There you go. There it is. Do it again.
Hot. No. Okay. Hot.
There you go. Do it again.
Hot.
So I'm going to have you read through just the sounds and get that consistent, and then I'll have you contrast. So do you start from the top again?
Okay. Hot. Got. Happy.
Do that one again.
Hobby. Luck. Not. Fund.
So the difference between the and the is the is dropped a little bit. The jaw is dropped a little bit more. So if you're having a hard time kind of differentiating, kind of pay attention to bringing the jaw up a little bit. Because you can't. It's harder to say without that jaw dropping. Okay, so now contrast those.
Okay. Hot. Got. Hobby. I think those, I'm not sure if I made.
Yeah, do that again.
Okay. Hobby. Yeah, I'm struggling a little. Okay.
Okay, so take the first part. Hub.
Hub, hub, hubby, hubby.
Especially
Lock.
if it's more than one syllable. If you just break it down to one syllable, it's sometimes easier to get that sound and then add the rest.
Okay. Lock, lock,
Do it again.
not. Okay, I'm gonna start with the first one. Lock, lock, not, not. Fund, fund.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
Okay.
good.
I'm just gonna go first.
You're going to what?
I'll go slower just to make sure that I get the sound right.
Okay. So I'm going to have you, because we have some more sounds that we're contrasting. So we're going to go over to the next column, but it's the that we're really wanting to make sure that sounds correct. Okay. So let's go back in here. I'm going to have you read through these just like you were doing there.
Okay.
Oh, actually, you say one of them, and I'll tell you which one you're saying.
Okay. Buck.
Okay. Second one.
Butt.
Second one.
Cut.
Second one.
Crush.
Good.
Then double. Double.
Second one.
Yes. Chalk.
Second one.
Chalk.
Okay, so now contrast those.
Okay. Back. Buck. Bat. Butt. Cat. Cut.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because you don't have any problem with the sound. It's perfect. So the sound, read through those sounds again before we move on to the next.
Sure. Buck. Butt. Cut. Crush. Double. Chalk.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the next column is with the sound. Okay, so this is something I think when I was working with Harry, the sound kind of sounded like and sounded like the sound. So we want to make sure that those and we're going to contrast this with Okay, you tell me a word and I'll tell you which one it is.
Sure. Okay. Then.
First one.
Yes. Rust.
Second.
Yes. Ton.
Second.
Dusk.
Good. Second.
Bed.
First.
Yes. Butter.
Second. Good. Okay, so I'm going to contrast, just for everyone to hear, I'm going to contrast these two. So den, done, rest, rust, 10, ton, desk, dusk, bet, but, better, butter. All right, excellent. So you know that it's more the and the that needs a little bit more practice, or when you're saying the sound, what it tends to sound more like is the sound. So that's something for you to kind of take away and say, all right, you know, and get that more comfortable for you. Okay, Natalia?
Yeah, does this sound right if when I say it by itself, Okay.
Exactly. And I always think about it as like when you get, like if you were going to get punched in the stomach,
Okay.
There's kind of that just sound. That is the and this sound is typically referred to as the schwa sound because it's the most common sound in the English language. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Natalia. Okay, Brian, we're gonna have you up next.
Hey,
so
Annie.
Hello, Brian. Okay, more of these short vowel sounds. So we're gonna contrast and here.
All right,
All
that's
right.
the one I couldn't quite distinguish it.
Oh, this is perfect then.
That's the hardest one. I keep hearing the same, except probably the A sounded like with more power to it.
Uh-huh.
And the O sounded with like less voice sound.
Yeah. So let
Is
me
that what it
explain
is?
kind of the mouth position here. So yeah, very close. Let me explain the mouth position here. So tends to be a little bit wider and more open. Ah.
All right.
It's a little bit further back in your mouth if that gives you a clue a little bit. Versus ah. The jaw is dropped, but then the mouth comes in, it narrows in. Ah.
Okay.
You see that? See how it widens? Yeah. So even putting your hands by your mouth like this and going ah, ah,
Ah.
ah, ah.
Yeah.
Does it go out and then in for you?
Right. A little bit, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to say, well, actually, let's have you say one of the words, and I'll tell you which one you're saying.
Okay. Hot.
Second word, and I'm going to contrast them just for the rest of our students. Hat, hot. Hat, hot.
Hat.
Okay, next.
Hot.
Perfect.
Hot. It's a word. It sounded like some sort of O from Spanish, like hot.
Yes.
Hot. Oh, it does.
Hot.
Supposed to sound.
Oh, wait, say that again.
So it sounded like some sort of like a Spanish O, the second one, instead of a A. I said hot. That's the
Yeah.
first one, correct?
Oh, no. First one
No?
is hat. So when
Hat.
you were saying it, I was hearing this. I was hearing hot.
Okay. Hot. And
So
that's the
contrast
second
those
one.
for me.
Hat. Hot.
Yep, there you go.
Hot.
Okay, say one of these.
Cat.
So
Coat.
first word, so contrast those. So this one's going to be cot, like a cot you sleep on.
Caught. Okay, so it does sound like some sort of O from Spanish, but it's not. There's not much emphasis. So the first one is cat,
And
the second one is caught.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. I was not hearing that before. I was hearing like similar sounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so say one of these for me.
Stack.
Yep,
Stock.
first word.
Yep.
And stock.
Stock.
Good.
Battle.
First word. So contrast them.
Bottle.
Bottle. Good.
Bottle.
So battle, bottle.
Battle. Bottle.
Yep.
Block.
Okay, you said the second word. Contrast them.
Black. Black. Block.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Map.
So
Mop.
first word. Do it again.
Mop. Oh, no. This is not the one. The ones I was having problem was the O and U. I'm sorry. This is fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one that I was having issues with. So map and mop.
So it's that sound that we were just going through, right?
Right.
Okay. So do this for me just real quick. Hold on. So say those sounds real quick for me.
That's the one. Okay. Hot.
Nope, I'm hearing hot. Do this again. Hut.
Hot.
Hut.
Hot.
Yeah, there you go. Gut.
Hot. Gut. Hobby.
Yeah. Oops.
Lock.
Good.
Not. Fun. Of fun.
And get that D at the end.
Fund.
Fund. Good. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, so you're getting that sound. You want to make sure that that sound is in there. All right, let's go through and just so some of our students might have trick with these two, contrast, just go through and read these for me.
N. Oh, they sound alike. So it will be N.
So I'm hearing you say N, like the letter N. And that's because we're not getting the D. We're going to talk about the D ending in a minute.
Okay.
So and.
N. And.
End.
Say that one more time.
Okay, so I'm gonna say one of these words. You tell me which one I'm saying.
All right.
End. End.
The second one.
Okay. Do this for me. And. Say that for me. Oh.
Hey,
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Annie. Got interrupted. Okay, so it's N.
Okay, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to this because you're deleting the D sound and it's causing problems. So do this for me. Bad bed.
Bad bed.
Perfect. And end.
And end.
Yeah, there you go. Bat bet.
Bat bet.
Gas guess.
Gas guess.
Mansion mention.
Mention mention.
Pack peck.
Pack peck.
Good. All right. So those are the ah and the eh sound here. So the eh and the ah, do this after me. Deck, dock.
Deck, dock.
Okay, do the next one.
Get, got.
Very good. Next one.
Neck, knock. Net, not.
Yeah.
Step, stop. Wreck, rock.
Good. Very nice. All right, so you're getting those. So it's that sound for you. You wanna go back and kind of just focus on
Okay.
All right, and that's going to be in module 7 with the sound. Okay.
Can you say it one more time? The O and the U.
O and the U. Hot.
Yeah.
Hut.
Hot.
So ah. Where the jaw just drops for ah, and it comes back up for
Which one is the first one is the O, right? That's the O? Okay. Okay, yeah, I definitely have to practice on that.
Yep, perfect. Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Annie.
Okay, so the sound is going to probably be the most difficult for most of our Spanish speakers. Contrasted with all of the other sounds, especially okay? So being aware of that sound. All right, and we got a little taste of this with Brian, is that deleting the ending sound, and especially with the D sound, the T's and the D endings, okay? Again, the problem with this is when you don't have the ending sound, it can be a completely different word, or it can just really you're just missing pieces that can be a problem, okay? The key to this, and so we have the D sounds, find, fine, fried, fry, bald, ball, lied, lie. Who wants to practice this a little bit? Can I get a volunteer? You can raise that hand icon. Mirtha, awesome. Mirtha, how perfect. How are you?
How are you?
Good, good. All right, I know we've worked on this a little bit in the past, so
Yes.
Go ahead and read. It's so hard. That D sound, and I think because there's such a flow in Spanish from one word to the next, that that's the contrast between Spanish and English in this situation, is that it's kind of this abrupt, abrupt ending, and it doesn't kind of make a very nice natural flow like Spanish tends to have. And so I can understand that there would be the tendency to drop that ending or not, give it its full pronunciation. But it does affect things, so we have to correct it.
Okay.
All right, so say these words just with the D ending for me.
Okay. Find, friend, bold, lied.
Good. So you're getting that D end, and and we've talked about this before, where we're kind of overemphasizing when we practice it, just to get that connection and get that awareness and make sure our mouth is comfortable with that. And in connected speech, it settles a little more. But when you practice it, just kind of overemphasizing it. And actually, I've noticed that when I work with my Spanish speakers, they feel like they're overemphasizing it, and it sounds pretty normal to a native speaker.
Okay.
So it all evens out.
Okay.
Now, do the same thing with the T endings for me.
Can't, brought, felt, plant.
Exactly. So you're getting a nice strong kind of burst sound there at the end. And I've talked about this a number of times, but in other situations in our study groups. But the key to getting our ending sounds, you have to get this mindset that you're always going to get your mouth in position for the ending sound. And the reason that the T and D are difficult is because a lot of our Spanish speakers are just, English language learners in general say, well, they didn't pronounce, I'm listening to a native speaker and they didn't fully pronounce the D or T. And you're right, it does get really subtle at times in connected speech, but you will notice that native speakers always get their mouth in position. They don't always release the sound, but they always get it in position, so we have to remember that. The other thing is linking. So say these sentences for me and link it to the next word so that we're getting that sound in place and moving into the next word.
Okay, let's see. Which sentence? The number one, number two?
So number two. So he,
okay.
starting with he.
Oh, okay. He can't always come. She lied.
So we're gonna do that sentence again and just get a nice flow between can't always come. He can't always come.
He can't always come.
Okay, so you just deleted the T.
I did?
Yes. So like we talked about, add the T to the next word. He can't always. He can't always.
He can't always. He can't always.
Can't always. Release the T though. Can't always.
He can't always.
Do it again.
He can't always.
Okay, but then you're causing a break between can't always.
He can't always.
Okay, so that connection there, we want to make sure the linking and connecting is nice and clear, because otherwise you're going to want to drop that. And what happens to the sentence if you drop the T?
It changes the meaning.
It totally changes the meaning. Yep.
Yeah.
And instead of he can't always come, he can always come. He can always come.
So you don't have to release it. You just.
So in this situation, yeah, you will definitely need to release it because it's followed by another vowel. Can't always. He can't always come. He can't always come.
He can always.
So remember in the last study group when I put the ending on the next word. So say can and talways. Can talways.
Can't always.
He can't always come.
He can't always come.
There you go. So that's what you're wanting to do is you kind of take that ending sound. If you're having a hard time getting that ending sound in there, take it from the end of one word, put it in the beginning of the next word, and say it that way. Okay?
Okay.
Now do the next sentence for me.
She lied to me.
There you go. Good. She lied to me. And so what's happening there, I didn't hear she lied to me. She lied to me, because that would mean that you didn't get your mouth in position for the D. The D and the T are pronounced in the same position. And so there's not going to be a lot of release in that D sound, but it has to be in position. Lied to. Lied to. It's almost like we sucked in the sound and we released it on the T. She lied to me. So do it one more time.
She lied to me. She lied to me.
Lied to. Lied to.
Lied to me.
Yeah, so that kind of happens with consonant to consonant, especially in the same position. So, we talk about that in the linking lesson. Of just how to kind of connect those when they're in the same position and consonant to consonant. But always get your mouth in position for the ending sound. I don't care what the situation is. Always do it, okay?
Okay.
All right, good job, Martha.
Thank you.
All right, and that's, that is something that takes some time. It really takes time. It takes practice. It takes repetition. It takes reading out loud and really emphasizing that ending D's and those ending D's and T sounds, to overcome that tendency to just drop them. All right, but you can overcome that. I've seen our students do it. All right, our next one, confusing B and V. This is all about mouth position. All right, B, ba, ba, ba. What happens is a lot of words with V, va, 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 V sound. We're not getting our teeth on our bottom lip. Instead, the lips are coming together, ba, 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 for that sound instead of va, 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 va. Very, very. Van, van. So if you're looking at the video, best, vest. TB, TV. All right, we have to get our mouth in position. It's all about the mouth position. Who wants to volunteer to go through the B's and V's with us? I just want to have you kind of read these two. Claudia, let's have you go. So Claudia, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
Hi.
All right, good. So how do you feel like you're hearing the two? Should we do a listening exercise, or do you feel like you... So when I went through those, were you able to hear the difference?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I'm going to have you say these two words, and I'll listen. So I can hear whether your mouth is in the right place without even seeing your teeth there. But go ahead here.
Very, very. Van, van.
Mm-hmm.
Vest, vest.
Uh-oh. Do that one again.
Vest,
There you go. Do it again.
vest,
Uh-huh. Vest.
vest,
Vest. Mm-hmm.
vest. TV,
Here, do that. The first one again.
yeah. TV, no, TV, TV, TV.
TB. Good, good. TB. So the tuberculosis is sometimes the disease tuberculosis is a lot of times referred to as TB. So that's why I'm doing this. So TB, and then what?
TV.
Mm-hmm. Do those two one more time.
TV and TV.
Okay. TB, TV. Yeah, TV. So the trick is really getting that V sound to be nice and clear. And this comes back to that idea of just, in Spanish it flows together, and there's not really this like there's a roughness to this sound. V, v, v. There's if you do that just alone, do that for me. There's that vibration. It's kind of rough, right?
I can feel it.
Yeah, it's that rough sound, and I think that our Spanish, as a Spanish speaker, you're not like, it's uncomfortable to do such like a rough sound. B is a lot prettier. But we do have to get that V in there. So say these V words for me, and then I'll have you read these two.
Yeah, very, van, vest, TV.
I'll do this.
Obvious, movies, November, gloves, vacation, and heaven.
Yes, there you go. So that good contact of your teeth on your bottom lips is going to make all the difference in making sure whether it's going to sound like a B sound or that V. Okay? All right. Good job, Claudia. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So be aware of the V sound. All right. I don't have really with this ya sound. A lot of my Spanish speakers are able to correct this very quickly when it's brought to their attention. So I don't think it's a huge problem, but it's something that when I'm first starting with students, there's a tendency to kind of have this j or j sound. So yesterday, more of that sound instead of the ya. All right. And again, it's just the carryover, and we have to make that adjustment for the English ya. And it really only happens in the beginning of words, typically, for our Spanish speakers. Okay, so The TH sound. Who wants to kind of go through the TH sound with me? Let's see. So Rosia, I can see that the hand is flashing, but then it comes off. So I don't know if that is a glitch, like a technical glitch, or you're not sure if you want to volunteer. So I just unmuted you. So if you, Rosia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Annie. Thank you.
Okay, are you wanting to try this out?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so the common error pattern for a lot of our Spanish speakers is for the voiced TH sound. This is when our voice is on. There's a tendency to want to do a D sound instead. So it makes sense because the D sound, duh, 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 is voiced as well. So it makes sense that you're going to tend to substitute a voiced for a voiced. The biggest difference is in the mouth position. All right, and Rocio, I know you've been going through the program, and so you've probably gone through the TH sound and been practicing that, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm ready to start the second lesson on the TH, on the voice and voiceless. So
okay.
Definitely these tips will help me to have my module in an easier way.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so the key is the mouth position here. So instead of the D sound, duh, 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 if you do the D sound, pay attention to where your tongue and your mouth is. Duh, duh, duh. Do that for me.
Duh, duh.
Okay, so your tongue is touching the back side of your teeth on that ridge there. Duh, duh, duh. And it's a burst sound. Okay, it's a burst sound. In contrast, the voice TH sound, we have our tongue between our teeth, or it doesn't have to be outside, like you don't have to be sticking your tongue out, but it does need to be the on the between your teeth, on the kind of in the middle there, exactly. Okay, and then the other difference is that we have more of a continuous sound in this. So instead of duh, where it's a burst, we have where we can kind of hold it out. Yeah, exactly. And getting that voice on can be tricky, and to hold that out. But we do have to have a little bit of length to it to get that correct sound. So as we go through, I want you to contrast these two. So do the first word and then the second word.
Those. The.
Duh, yeah.
Duh. Mother. Matter.
Mutter.
Mutter.
Okay, and so this is kind of interesting. I should have put a T there, but mutter is to like mumble or not speak clearly. And when we do a
mutter,
a lot of times, or it's that tap T rule, when the T is surrounded by vowels, it becomes a D sound. So mutter is what I was going after.
Okay.
All right, next one.
Smooth.
Smooth, yeah.
Smooth.
Exactly. Yep. So you're getting that TH sound in there, and it does take practice, and it does take that repetition to get comfortable with this sound. It is the most awkward sound for people who are just new to this sound, because you're used to doing the D, and now you have to put your tongue between your teeth, and it becomes very tricky, but you're doing a good job. Okay, the other one is the voiceless TH sound, and the tendency is doing the voiceless T sound instead. So go through the same way and read through these for me.
Think, tink. Thank, tank. Anything, anything. Both, boat.
Very good, very good. All right, and it can sound so similar to each other, but the key is the mouth position. You just have to get that mouth position in there. So go through and read again for me the TH sounds, all these TH words, so we can get that repetition.
Yeah. those, the, mother, smooth, think, thank, anything, both.
Excellent. Very, very good job. Okay, the key is in the mouth position. Thank you, Rosie. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Annie.
Uh-huh. All right, good. Okay, so we just have a few more here. And we are going to go longer than an hour. I understand if some of you need to go, then I understand, and I won't take it personally. But we are going to go ahead and continue so that we can get through all these sounds and make sure that that we have that complete list covered. All right. Continuing on with the sounds, the R sounds, and this is something that I haven't been able to pinpoint which areas or which countries or which tend to have more of that rolled sound than others. I feel like a lot of our Spanish speakers have really been able to smooth out that R. So the tendency is to do more of a rolled Spanish R instead of kind of the tongue tip down and smoothed out R for English. So instead of right, it would be right, great, great. Okay, and what happens with the roll is the tongue is coming up and kind of trilling or vibrating on the roof of the mouth. So we want to make sure that the tongue tip comes down and it's more the back of the tongue or the middle to the back of the tongue, however you want to describe it, that comes up. Does anybody want to try this who tends to have that rolled R to it? I wasn't actually noticing very many any of the participants that were speaking doing this. So Natalia, would you like to read through these for me?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'll get started. Right, great, mother, started, practice.
Very good. So you're doing a great job. If you were to, is that pretty natural for you to do that smooth R, or are you kind of controlling?
I kind of push myself a bit. Right, great. I think my sound is a little bit lighter for the most part. But did I say them right?
Yes.
Are they okay?
So that was excellent. So I was just trying to figure out if you've kind of overcome another tendency with the R, and that's what you're doing now, which is correct, or whether you kind of had that before.
Yeah, you know, I tried to follow the lesson, the mouth position, the tongue position for the R.
Good.
I didn't really the way that I make the sounds for the R is not really. I'm not really using the same tongue position. But as long as it's right, I guess that works, right?
Yeah. So yeah, there is sometimes a little bit of a difference in the tongue position. Sometimes the tongue comes up a little bit, and that's why we want to check with you and say, for you to say, okay, is this working or is it not? So what you just did was perfect, and there might be a little bit variation with the tongue, but what I'm looking for most is that it's not coming up and rolling, but that we're having a nice smooth sound to it, and that's what you're getting. Okay?
Thank you again.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Excellent. So yeah, the R sound, all about the kind of the tongue position, and mostly about the smoothness, because sometimes the tongue position can vary and still get the correct sound, but it's about that smooth quality. Instead of the rolled, we're getting that smooth quality to it. All right. Okay, next. Does anybody need to stretch or anything? I understand. We're kind of getting into this heavily, but we'll keep on trudging. All right, the S sound instead of the Z. So this happens with our Spanish speakers quite a bit, is the difference between voiced and voiceless sounds in this S and Z sound. So S is a voiceless sound. So when you touch your throat, voiceless sounds, there'll be no vibration in your throat. Versus Z, has that vibration, So the tendency for our Spanish speakers, and again, this kind of goes back to that you know, Spanish is a much smoother language, and English has some of these more abrupt sounds. Z is one of those more abrupt sounds. So the tendency for our Spanish speaker is to go to more of that smooth sound, the S, instead of the Z sound. Plus, it's not incredibly clear in the spelling of English words whether it should be a Z pronunciation. So in the bonus lessons, I do have a lesson of how do you know if it's an S or a Z based on the spelling rules. We won't go into that in very much detail. I mostly want you to bring that awareness to the sound of the voiceless versus the voiced in these words. So we have ice, eyes. The only difference is the S in this one and the Z in this other one. Ice, eyes, eyes. So we're turning that voice on excuse me, for that second word. Does anybody want to try this that has trouble with kind of that S and Z sound? If not, I can just keep going through. All right, Brian, we're going to have you go through. Hi, Brian.
Hi. Hello again.
All right. Hello. Awesome. You're getting a lot of help here. That's good. All right, so go through these for me, and let's get that voice on for the Z sound. So say these two: ice, eyes.
Ice, eyes.
So you're getting that voice on. Do this one.
Nice. Nice.
So this one's a rice. Yeah.
Oh, that's an R. I thought that was an N.
Oh,
yeah. Rice. Rise.
There you go. Rise. Good.
Loose. Loose.
Lose. So a little bit more voice on that second one. Lose. I'm going to lose the game if we don't step it up.
Okay.
Lose versus loose. Loose.
Loose. Lose.
This one?
Race. Raise.
Good. Raise. Raise the flag. Raise your hand. So if I'm saying race your hand versus raise your hand, we have two different meanings there, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here's some other examples. So these are words that I tend to hear from students. Cussin', you know, cousin. We want it to not sound like I'm cussing, but cousin.
Cousin. Okay. Cousin. Cousins.
So do that first one.
Cousin.
Cussin.
Cousin.
There you go. Next one.
Racing. It doesn't have a G at the end, no?
Well, I'm more referring to, like, some of our Spanish speakers will say, you know, I'm going to have a racin'. I'm going to have a racin', you know, instead of saying this word. So
got it. Okay.
racin' and
raisin.
Yeah. So when you get that voice on, then it changes it to raisin.
Raisin.
Place.
Plays. Face. Face. That sounded similar, right?
Yeah.
Face. Phase.
There you go. Got that voice on for that ending.
All right. Cool.
Good. So it's all about the voice with these, and for quite a bit of my Spanish speakers, when we work one-on-one, it takes really digging in and saying, get that voice on, because it feels so uncomfortable for a lot of our students. And really practice overemphasizing it so you get that voice in there, but it does make a difference. So in the bonus lessons in the S and Z, I do have 3 pages of common words spelled with S that should be Z pronunciation. So that is available to all of our students. So go through and just practice getting that voice on and getting that Z in there, okay?
Fantastic. Thank you, Annie.
All right, thanks, Brian. All right, next. Okay, I don't want anybody to be overwhelmed at this point. So when I post this video, I am going to do a summary of it so you have a piece of paper to go through, and if you just kind of circle or take note of which ones you personally have a hard time with, you might not have a hard time with every single one of these. The strategy is figure out which ones you're personally doing. If you don't know, come to our study groups and we'll go through them and practice them together. And I can kind of help you identify. But then it's a matter of, step by step. And a lot of these sounds we go through in the Pronunciation Pro course step by step. So as you follow the course, you're building step by step in all of these. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed with this. I just want you to get an awareness. That's what this is doing for you. Get that awareness, and so you know, okay, here are the things I kind of have to chip away at to make sure that my sounds are correct in English. Okay, just for sake of time, I'm going to kind of skim through these a little bit here. So we have the SH sound instead of the ch sound. So a lot of times where I hear, and this comes back to our theme, sh is a very smooth, pretty sound. Ch is a very abrupt, kind of harsh sound. Okay, so our Spanish speakers tend towards the pretty sounds and less of the ch sound. But in English, we got to get that ch sound. So instead of she's, I won't need cheese, cheese, sheep, cheap, shop, chop, ship, chip. All right, a few more. Bash, batch, cash, catch, wash, watch, wish, which. So with the recording, I said I would do an overview, and I'll have all of these examples in the overview, kind of the written overview, so that you have some of these to practice on your own too. And for this, it's all about that airflow. One is continuous, shh, and one is a burst sound. All right, for the S blends. S blends, what tends to happen is a lot of our Spanish speakers will say esters or study and kind of put that buffer vowel in the front. And it again, there's a theme here. It flows better when you put a vowel in front of the S blends. And so the tendency is to want to make it sound prettier and flow better. But we have to take that vowel before the S blend. And S blends mean two consonant, an S and then another consonant. So ST, SP, SC, SK, any words that start with those. So we want to make sure it's stairs and not esters. Okay? Study, and it starts with that student, special, scratch. All right, and it's all about linking. When we're linking, not to put the vowel in there, but to link the ending word of the word before it into that S blend. All right. Same word: stupid, smile, scale, stock, stretch. All right. And then I think this is our last one. All right, ED endings. And let's just go over the rules. We do go through the ED endings in Module 2 when we talk about tense markers. But there are 3 different ED endings in English. The tendency for our Spanish speakers is to occasionally say id instead of either the T or the D ending. So we have 3 different endings. The root word, either the root word is voiced, so we end in D. The root word is voiceless, so we end in T. Or the root word ends in a T or a D, and we say id at the end. So a lot of my Spanish speakers will want to say the id sound at the end when there's an ED ending instead of these others. So like planned, and I highlighted the root word. So is a voice, so we're going to just put the D at the end. Planned instead of planted. We don't want to do planted. We do planned. Raised, not raised, raised. Loved, not loved. Okay, loved. And then root word for voiceless, or the ed endings for voiceless. Worked, not worked. Worked. Practiced. Crashed. Okay, crashed. So those, it's the T, the ones that have the T and D ending that we have to be aware of. And if the root word's a T or a D, we say traded. That's where we do the id sound, when that root word is a T or a D. Otherwise, it's going to be one of these other ones. So if you just kind of think, okay, the root word doesn't end in the D or a T, so it's going to be these other ones, that will give you the clue. So traded, waited, succeeded. All right. All right, you guys. That was a lot. That was a lot to throw on you. But here are some of the takeaways. Excuse me for a minute. Here are some of the takeaways. In English, in your spoken English, as we're transitioning from Spanish to English, sorry. All right. As we're transitioning from Spanish to English, there's going to be sounds and rhythm, mostly sounds, from your first language, from Spanish, that you're going to want to use in English, but we need to make sure that we're using those English sounds in English so that we aren't confusing words. All right, the biggest key is going to be your vowels. That's why we spent so much more time on the vowels today than anything else. The vowels are going to make the biggest difference. All of these other ones are specific to sound. The rhythm, good job. You don't have to really think about rhythm too much because that is quite natural in Spanish, the conversion to Spanish to English. That rhythm is going to be more natural. Remember, slow down, move your mouth, a little bit of word stress, but mostly slowing down and moving your mouth. Most of your practice is going to be in those specific sounds, and that comes with specific, focused practice and repetition. It doesn't happen just by chance. It's just like if you needed to learn how to throw a baseball or learn how to play soccer. We call it soccer in English, in America, but football everywhere else. Just as like you're learning those skills of a specific sport, you have to play the sport. You have to move your muscles. You have to do the actions. The same thing goes for the sounds of English. You have to do the actions. You have to move your mouth, and you have to get that precision in where your mouth and your tongue are to get the correct sounds. So as we go forward here, and I'm going to post this recording with that overview, I want you to go through and really say, okay, what is it that I am having trouble with? Really highlight those, and then start working one by one through those specific sounds, okay? It will make a big difference in your overall clarity and that confidence that you'll feel as you really refine those sounds of English. That is what's keeping, if you're having to repeat yourself or you're not feeling very comfortable because you can tell people aren't understanding you completely, or you know that you have, remnants of that accent in your English, and you're wanting to get rid of that, this is where that is. It's no secret. It's all in those specific sounds, the majority in those specific sounds. Okay, so take this information and use it. Apply it, practice it, and you will be able to reach that goal. I've obviously been talking too much. My voice is giving out. All right, thank you so much for coming. We'll have the recording up here within the week, and I'm so glad you were able to come. Thank you for coming and participating and It really was a great experience for me, and I appreciate it. It sounds like for what I'm kind of gauging from this is that and ah vowels, we need to have more practice and more on those specific ones. So I'm going to take that information. I'm going to create some materials and some for you to be able to practice just that and ah sound. That tends to be the hardest one. Olga, I noticed that you're wanting kind of to repeat that and ah. So let's get you that more help with those two sounds if those are the ones that are really causing the problem. All right, we'll get that going here, and please let me know if you have any other feedback for us, and we'll do all we can to help. That's why we're here. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye.